All right, so I have this question here from Excel. And Excel is saying, what do you do when you are sure you're on the right path, but it feels like you are not making any progress? Everyone says keep going, but what if you are feeling genuinely discouraged and nothing seems to be moving forward? How do you handle this? Thank you very much, Excel, for that question. When you feel you're on a path that you should be on, but then you see little or no progress, and people are telling you continue, press on, and you just feel like if there's no need doing it anymore because you don't feel like you're making significant progress, you get discouraged. What do you do? Is it time to stop that thing you are doing and to move on to something else? This is a good question, and it makes us question, number one, why we are doing something in the first place. Why are you doing it? How did you get into this thing that you are doing that you feel like if there is no progress in? That's the first question. How did you get into it? You understand? What was your why? How did the story of you and this journey in this particular path that you are on, how did it start? What ignited this journey? What inspired it? The second thing it makes us ask is, how do you measure progress? How do we measure progress? A lot of people cannot answer these two questions. That's why we tend to start some things, and after a while, we get discouraged doing it. No matter how much motivation we get from the external, it's not enough. So I see a lot of people start things and leave it halfway, and they say, we are not making progress, so I'm discouraged. Discouragement, a lot of times, is victorious over us when, number one, our reason for starting, the source of inspiration, is not right. And number two, the yardstick of progress is questionable. Those are the two things that make us discouraged about things that we were so motivated about in the beginning. So why did you start? What inspired it? And this is where we need to understand, and I'll keep saying it. It is something I try to say a lot when answering questions or talking about life, is that life is more spiritual than we make it out to be. Life is way more spiritual than a lot of people are aware of. I tell people that the physicality of this thing called life is just the tip of the iceberg. The majority of your life is spiritual. And until we are able to have spiritual leadings, we will never have firm groundings on any area of our lives. If you do not have a spiritual leading, you will never have a firm footing anywhere. And that's why the Bible tells us about a man that built his house on sand and a man that built his house on the rock. They both built houses. It was what they built it on that was different. It says the storm came. They both experienced storms. One collapsed and the other one stood. Same storm. What that place in the Bible is telling us is that if you don't build your life on spiritual things, on spiritual foundation, storms would come and your house will come falling down. So this question Excel is asking is one that hinges largely on spirituality. That is why no amount of physical encouragement can wake something that wasn't inspired spiritually in the first place. No amount of physical resuscitation can bring to life something that didn't have a spiritual seed. A lot of us start things because of what we see. So some people have gotten into careers because they've seen, oh, I see somebody who does this thing. I like the car they drive. I like the position they're at. I like the prestige that comes with it. So I feel this thing is for me. There's hardly a spiritual connection. Everything is physically inclined. Everything is physically energized. It's inspired solely by the physical. I saw this thing on social media. I like it. I like this lifestyle. I like that. Somebody came to talk to you and they got you all charged up. And you got very emotional and like, I'm going to start doing this thing. Someone came to talk to you about some kind of multi-level marketing. Like, I'm doing this thing. I'm signing up. Oratory. Physical things. It's something I used to tell my wife. I tell her, whatever got you to start is what will get you to stop. Whatever gets you to start a thing is what will get you to stop. And that's why when people reach out to me for clarity, I hardly tell people, do this. When people say, I need you to tell me what to choose, I tell people, choose this. I don't tell people what to choose. I just try to paint a picture and allow them to be led. When people tell me, oh, I'm in a relationship with this person and that person, I don't know who to go for. I will never tell someone, go for this person based on what you've told me. Because if you go for the person based on what a human being told you, you will leave the person based on what a human being tells you. What makes you start can make you stop. That's why I don't really believe when people, in my line of work, I've heard a lot of people tell me a lot of things. One thing I find strange is when people say preachers told them to marry a person. A preacher told you to marry somebody. A man of God, a woman of God told you, marry this. They will bring two people out in church, don't know each other, and just say, the Spirit is telling me both of you should get married. It will take a preacher to break that marriage to a man of God to tell you, this wife is because of your problem, leave her. When a preacher tells you what career to do and just say, I can see you, God is telling me you should do this, it will take a preacher also to tell you, stop doing it. If your influence is from the external, your discouragement will come from the external too. If your initial inspiration comes from the external would also be the cause of your discouragement. And that's why I try to teach people to have spiritual connections themselves. Some people find it frustrating when I talk with them because they're like, why don't you just tell me what to do? I can't tell you what to do. If I tell you what to do, it will take the same me to discourage you. All I need to do is lose my way and I'll just come back and I'll discourage you again. This is how cults are formed. People look up to a man or a woman as ultimate authority, ultimate knowledge to how they should live their lives. And then first of all, the cult leader tells them to do pretty noble things. And then they don't know when they cross over from noble things to very vile, terrible things. Very soon, the cult leader will just tell you, do this, go and kill, go and harm, go and destroy. And they just go mindlessly. If it takes a cult leader for you to do something virtuous, it takes that cult leader for you to do something destructive. There was a man called Jim Jones. He was a preacher. And he started out having a church, performing miracles in the church. And people saw him as God. He had a followership. He had a place called the People's Temple. That was the name of his church, the People's Temple. And after a while, the church grew so big that they had to move out of the US to a place called Guyana. And it was given a very vast amount of land there, and he was there with his church teaching every day. A lot of people left their lives in the US to go and live in Guyana, in the People's Temple. He started out by telling them very noble things, and all of a sudden started crossing over to doing darker and darker things, telling them to arm themselves with guns and leave their families and cut ties with their families, not talk to your family anymore. And at the point when he realized that the law, you understand, was about to catch up with him, he told everybody in the camp, women and children, everyone, men, women, and children, told them to make poison, fruit punch, and lace it with poison, and they should all drink it. And women put cups in this big vat of punch, and they fed it to their children. And hundreds of people died. It's called the Guyana tragedy. Real life story. How did they go from being a church to being a cult that committed mass murder? Because number one, what inspired them was a man. What dissuaded them was a man. So why did you start? A lot of us don't start for the wrong reason, because we don't start for the right reason, because we are not spiritual. So when people, listen to me and they say, I'm talking like a pastor, I'm not trying to be a pastor. No, I'm not. I'm not a clergyman of any. I'm just telling you the truth. If someone teaches you and they don't teach you spirituality, that person is not teaching you right. I don't care what they're teaching you about. Parenting, finances, academics, whatever. If they're teaching you anything and the person doesn't for one moment mention a spiritual attachment to that thing, that person is not giving you 90% of what you should know. They're teaching you only 10%. Because life is spiritual. If you have a spiritual reason for starting something, you might get discouraged, but you would not stay discouraged. That's the thing about spirituality. You might get discouraged. You will have days of discouragement. Days that you tell yourself, I'm not doing this thing anymore. But you won't stay there. Because the spiritual God will not allow you stay there. There's a story of a man in the Bible called Jonah. He was given a spiritual assignment. He didn't want to do it. Totally discouraged, tried to run away. But God did not allow him run. He did that thing eventually, that assignment. If God had to send a whale to swallow him up so that he can get his mind right and get to do the work, the spiritual will make you do it. So the question is, why did you start what you started? That's the first place to go. If the root is not spiritual, then the discouragement is expected. The long-lasting discouragement is expected. Because the thing about physical things, when we have physical leadings to do things, it's all about the physical, what you see. You date a girl or a guy because they are so beautiful. You like their body. You like their car. You like their money. You like something about them that is so physically rooted. There is no spiritual connection between both of you. You know what happens with the physical? The physical can only accommodate so much before it gets inundated and saturated. And this brings us to the question of progress. A lot of us, it's not like we are not making progress. We've just gotten saturated with a level of progress. I'll put it this way. You see, when I started graphic design, first thing was I just wanted to use CorelDRAW. Just the opportunity to use CorelDRAW. Oh, that would be so nice. I would just be happy just using CorelDRAW. That I just know how to use it, just make me happy. Then someone taught me how to use CorelDRAW. And I was so happy using it every single day. After about 2 months, the same thing that very thing that I said would make me so happy, I was inundated and saturated with it. how much more of that interface could I see? Then I started to think, I need clients. I need a client. They don't even need to pay me too much. Just pay me something for using this thing. I'll be so happy. Just that they pay me anything just to use this thing. Then I got a client. Paid me 5,000 naira or whatever it was, one ridiculous amount. And I was so happy. So happy. 5,000 naira just to do this thing. Then I got another client, another 5,000. Another 5,000, I got inundated with 5,000 naira clients. I said, I hate 5,000 naira jobs. I'm saturated with them. If I could just get someone to pay me 50K. And then I went from there. We get the physical things, we get saturated with it. We get tired of it. I've watched so many people, interviews of so many people that are rock stars, superstars, celebrities, especially men. They'll tell you, I got into this thing so that I can attract women. It was hard for me to get a woman when I was a celebrity, but now I have women all over me and they're so excited. After a while, a year of getting all the women, all the manner of shape of women they can get, all the color of women they can get, they get tired. They get irritated by women, inundated. Like, it doesn't make any sense anymore. So some of them become sexual deviants. They become attracted to their own sex. That's how it starts. They are so fed up of the other sex that just attract that they thought was the end of the world before. Inundated, tired. So they start looking for weird, distorted preferences. The same thing with money. So if I can just get money, just make money. After a while, the money just becomes too much. Some people, that's their burden. It's too much. What's this? It makes no meaning anymore. No meaning to them. I remember watching something about Pablo Escobar. Escobar still has money in the ground in Cuba. He still has money in the ground that they've not found in barrels. At a point, the money was too much. I remember watching this movie, Goodfellas. And there was this man, Ray Liotta, and his wife. When they got married, and he joined the mob, he joined the Italian mob. They were so excited that they were making money left, right, and center. And I can remember this scene where the wife was talking. There was a narrative, and the wife was saying she's just tired of seeing money everywhere in the house. There was nowhere. They would open this drawer, money. Open this, money everywhere. It became irritating to her. Nowhere in the house where she could stuff things anymore. Just money. Every single container was full of money. Inundated, saturated. That's the physical. The spiritual is not like that. The spiritual doesn't get inundated and doesn't get saturated. It always creates space for more. Never saturated. The spiritual doesn't work with restraint of space. So when you are doing something with a spiritual leading, you can do it and do it and do it and do it and do it the same way. People expect you to get tired. You don't get tired because God keeps making space for you to accommodate that thing. When somebody has gotten saturated and inundated, you keep going. And they're like, how are you not tired of doing this thing? Because you have a spiritual leading. When you have a spiritual leading concerning a relationship, you stay in that relationship with that person for years. Because there's always space. When people are saying, I've gotten tired of my wife, her shape has changed. I've gotten tired of my husband. This has changed. It's got, some people just feel it has gotten boring. It's the physical. Because what led you was the physical. The physical can only take so much. So much of a good thing can only take so much before there's diminishing returns. That doesn't happen with spiritual. You will realize that there's always space and accommodation for that person you are attracted to or you are married to. You will keep being attracted to your wife. You will never get tired of her. People that are so physical, they do all manner of depravity in their marriages because it has gotten boring. So they tell you, oh, all manner of styles. Oh, let's invent this style. Let's do this style. Sexual styles. Then some of them even say, let's go and get a third party. Let's go and get another couple. All manner of depravity. Get another couple to spice up our sex life. Because it's getting boring. I'm getting discouraged from having sex with my wife. So I'm going to get another couple, our neighbor. They will come every Wednesday and then we will swing. Depravity. Because the physical is saturated. But the spiritual never gets saturated. That's why some people talk about, oh, why this particular style is boring. I just need to say this thing on this podcast. I need to be as clear as possible. One style is only boring because it's not the spiritual that connected both of you. The spiritual always accommodates. There is no restraint of space. It never gets too crowded. There's a story in the Bible about a man who had demons in him and Jesus had to cast out that demon. Those demons. See, that demon or those demons, they were called legion. A lot of people don't understand what that means. One man had a legion of demons in him. Do you know what legion is? Legion is a term the army used to use. They used it, the Roman army. It was a collective of about 3,000 to 6,000 men. A group of 3,000 to 6,000. That's what legion is. So at the very least, that man had 3,000 demons living inside him. 3,000. More than the bones in his body. At the very most, he had up to 6,000 inside him. How is that possible? Because it's spiritual. They could have even added more. They could have doubled that number if they wanted to. Because they were spiritual beings. They were demons. 6,000 demons can be inside one ant. Because space doesn't apply in spirituality. Spiritual is never inundated. Someone that has 500,000 demons can still accommodate another 500,000 more. So when there's a spiritual leading, you might have days of saying, oh man, I'm tired of doing this thing I'm doing, but you wake up the next morning reinvigorated to do it again. I can't tell you how many days when I was doing graphic design, I just felt, man, I'm not doing this thing again. I can't do it again. I'm so tired. This client talked to me this way. This thing happened this way. And I went to bed saying I won't do it again. I woke up the next morning. Let's go and do it. Let's go and do it. I don't know where that fresh space to accommodate it came from again. I can't tell you how many times I've told myself, I'm not recording no podcast. I'm not answering any question again. I'm tired of this. I get discouraged, but I'm never crushed. Wake up the next morning. Let's go do it. I don't know. The reset just comes again. Spirituality never gets inundated. What I'm trying to say is that we need to start having spiritual reasons for doing things. When you start having spiritual reasons for doing things, you don't need 500 people to tell you, keep going, keep going, keep going. Sometimes just one person that will tell you, keep going, as validation of how you feel, not direction of what you should do. It's not bad to have people tell you to keep going, but then it's a validation to the feeling of you saying, I think I want to keep going today again. And then someone comes and says, Excel, keep going. And then you keep going. Because there's a spiritual direction in the first place that was validated by the external. So what I'm trying to say is that the physical should only validate the spiritual. So when you have physical influences, a man of God, a preacher, a book, it should only validate what you've been led to do spiritually in the first place. It should only validate. It should only validate. A bird should not fly because of the wind. A bird should fly because it has an internal leading, an eagerness to want to fly. The wind only validates that eagerness. Because on a day that is not windy, the bird still needs to fly. So if it's only inspired by the wind, there are some days it will not fly. So what I will say is, check what your connection is. If you are too discouraged by something for so long, look to the genesis of it. You would realize that sometimes the seed is not right. The seed is not right. When something comes from a spiritual leading, the spiritual encouragement that allows you to keep going. This is how we judge true progress. Not by how much we make, not by what our mates are doing, not by what you can afford. It is what the spiritual continues to tell you to do. It is that feeling that you have on your inside telling you, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, my son. I'm proud of you, my daughter. Keep going. I'm proud of you. That's progress. Even though on the outside you are wasting away, on the outside it seems like if nothing is adding up. True progress is still being able to hear on your inside, I am with you. I am with you. I'm proud of you. I see you. You are doing well. If you cannot hear that spiritual voice, that is where you need to start from. Yes, you see it on the outside. You feel like doing it. Do you have internal validation, internal confirmation, internal direction to do it? Because that thing that you're seeing, you will get inundated with it if it's just seeing that is driving you. You will get inundated. People can get inundated with anything. Anything. The spiritual is never inundated. So Excel and any other person listening in, it doesn't matter how many people encourage you. It's the encouragement that comes from within that matters. It doesn't matter how many people encourage you on the outside. When you read the Bible, Jesus started his ministry with God saying, this is my beloved son in whom I am. That was the first thing he heard, the validation before he performed any miracle. That was what set him on the path. And at every single part, he kept on hearing that thing. I am proud of you. This is my beloved son. So when he had a lot of people following him, and at the end of his life, when he had almost nobody following him, he kept going. That's why when he got discouraged, he was getting discouraged. He said, my soul is full to the place of sorrow. What happened? He got spiritual topping up again. His disciples could not top him up. They were sleeping when he was troubled. Nobody was there for him in the physical. But then he got spiritual feeling again. And he's the very person that woke up and told his disciples, let's go. Woke his disciples up and told them, let's go. I'm ready right now again. I have my spiritual topping up. I'm no longer discouraged. I'm good to go. That's what you need. That's what you need in your finances. That's what you need in your career. That's what you need in your relationship. That's what you need in your marriages. That's what you need with your parenting. That's what you need with every single part of your life. Because discouragement and downtime would come. But if you know that the path you are on was inspired by spiritual leading, trust me, the spiritual will come and pick you up again. And you find yourself back on the path, gingered to go again. I hope this helps someone out there to look for spiritual direction in every single decision we make.